I guess a common thing that's being talked about at this current moment is 6ix9ine and Adin Ross making diss tracks about Doechii. I just made a video about Doechii's latest song, I believe. And bro, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Niggas just be saying and doing anything on this fucking internet. I'm surprised we're still taking 6ix9ine seriously or even letting him in the conversation booth. Well, I know why Adin Ross is doing it. He's just right-wing grifting, and he knows that 6ix9ine is making that current pivot, so he decided to put him along board. But it goes on to make the point of the video that I just made. So you got to look at why people are saying the things people say about each other. In this case, why people are saying that Doechii is an industry plant in the first place. Which, if you look at what Adin Ross and fucking 6ix9ine is doing, them niggas just clearly hate black women and black people, and by extension. And this isn't a surprise. This isn't new information. But what also isn't new information is 6ix9ine filming the assault sexually of a child. That's a public case. Niggas don't remember that. That was a public case that a lot of people, for some reason, just decided to gloss over. But even if you wanted to somehow ignore that, 6ix9ine hasn't made a good song, let alone be relevant, since before the COVID-19 pandemic. And I think that this is another example of what Kendrick is talking about when he says the party is dying, or we have to watch the party die. Or what other rappers are attempting to hop on the wave, which they're like, oh, fuck. Even though 6ix9ine isn't necessarily, I guess, part of the streets, but he is. I don't know, he's in that really weird bubble, for lack of better terms. But it's essentially just the whole concept of the fact that as an audience, we're really feeding into a lot of the bullshit. And I'm not gonna say it's just completely our fault, but some of it, we do have to take a little bit of the responsibility on some of these aspects. Not even just for people like 6ix9ine, but for people who are not 6ix9ine, but somehow gets more passes. Like, let's take 21 Savage right now. And I remember him saying, he was like, oh yeah. I think he was on an interview for like 3 hours talking about how the streets is fucked and how he grew up was in very much weird predicaments. Which, if you listen to the album where it says what happened to the streets, he's not talking about any of that shit. Or at the very minimum, from the songs that I have listened to, which I will re-listen to this album to confirm. And editor Dev, you can go ahead and throw it in there for me. Really seem like that he's attempting to talk about the stuff that he actually has a problem with, which, if you ask me, is like the entire point of naming an album Fuck the Streets, or What Happened to the Streets, or things of that nature. And I think Thug hopped on this wave, and I think a lot of other artists are hopping on this wave for whatever reason, but this isn't necessarily a new concept. I think they're kind of just hijacking it. Slick Rick said something similar to it years ago. You know, this is a repeated talking point. A rapper would come out saying, yo, the streets is fucked, it's phony, this, then the third, have some critique. A bunch of niggas hop on that wave. New artist blows up doing street shit, rinse and repeat. That's what happened in Slick Rick's era, Kanye, T.I., and now in our case, Kendrick Lamar's era of hip-hop, I guess, for lack of a better term. There's too many people that are hopping on this fuck the streets movement, but there's no actual valid criticisms. If you really look at a lot of the time what they're saying, they're just saying fuck the streets. They're not saying let's help the people in the streets, or let's help the streets, or let's reconstruct it, or things of that nature. It's no solutions. It's just saying fuck the entire medium as a whole. But let's focus on the aspect of just pointing fingers and not doing anything. If you point fingers at the community that it's their fault that it's this way, then all that's going to happen is they're going to get reinforced to keep doing it because they don't believe that. And realistically, it's not that way. It's systematic. It's been planned from the beginning. I don't really understand why it's a really big movement that a lot of these new rappers are hopping on, because a lot of the time it just seems like they're trying to recover beefs that was, I guess, started because of Metro Boomin and Future during his time when they were beefing with Drake, and when Kendrick finally sealed the deal with his long-lasting beef with Drake as well. One of the main issues of the F the Streets movement is the hypocrisy around it. When people who were considered square would say, fuck the streets, you know, this is not good for our people, this isn't good for our environment, all of a sudden it's, oh, y'all niggas don't understand, y'all just too scared to hop in anything, y'all doing this, y'all doing that. But when a bunch of rappers who are very publicly ignorant say fuck the streets, all of a sudden it's, oh nah bro, they just a product of their environment, this is trauma, they trying to heal. So we realize that there's an underlying issue with the urban communities, right? Like that's what we're kind of like ignoring, is that there was been an issue, but y'all decided not to acknowledge it until the niggas who are actually going through it said something, as opposed to the niggas who are observing and watching their own people. Because a lot of times it don't be the nigga that's actually involved to be like, yo, I got a cousin who's in this shit, or I got a brother, or I got an uncle who's in this shit. And then they are involved in the shit, and you see how much it's doing harm to not only their lives, but everyone that is around them. All of a sudden, it's now an issue when 21 Savage says, fuck the streets. Maybe he's saying fuck the streets because the streets didn't listen to his ass this time. And there's a lot of hypocrisy as well when it goes along with it, and just the aspect of the people who are saying fuck the streets. This is why I believe that it is a CIA psyop. It's not even just like underground niggas too. It'd be prominent rappers. It'd be niggas like 21 Savage and G Herbo and fucking Young Thug and things of that nature. It'd be, and I think even Lil Baby at one point too. It'd be all these like rappers who blew up from making music about the streets, and there's nothing wrong with that if you're actually making it in good intention. Well, but once again, conversation for a different day. There's nothing wrong with that. But then if you turn around and say, no, I'm gonna actually continue rapping about the street stuff that I was in, or I'm gonna continue pushing the message about street culture, streetwear, this, that. Well, streetwear is different, but I digress. But just like street culture in general, and then turn around and say, screw, like, turn it on. All they say is, oh, it's fuck the streets, but no actual action is done to help people in the streets. It'd be different if niggas said, yo, fuck the streets. I'm going back and I'm giving kids jobs so they can stay off the streets. I'm building community centers so I can get kids off the streets. But no, you're just saying fuck the streets without any actual action. That's how I know this shit's, it has to be a CIA psyop. Matter of fact, I'm not suicidal in any shape or form. If you're new to the channel, I talk about hip hop, or just music in general, honestly. I talk about music. I talk about anime, gaming, manga, movies, a whole bunch of shit. And I'm gonna watch Marty Supreme later at the time of recording this video, later this week. So I might be doing a review on that. Not entirely sure yet. I'll let y'all folks know. In the meantime, y'all have a good one.